I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white. No coke, no Sprite, I am rolling with the public, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all to bleed red. I have to protect my family. Why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority. Is my race just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they want to strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one. But I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself, trying to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So I heard that Scotland is too.
Good evening, America. I'm Jason, and you are watching Jason Goes Political. For the sake of continuity, all financial gifts, $19 or less. I will read toward the end of the stream, $20 or more, and I will read as soon as I see them. You'll be able to financially gift, ask questions, make comments over on Entropy at a cost of 15% to you, and they are worth it since they are keeping free speech alive, as you all know. Also over on Odyssey at 15% to you. And finally, as Cash App, at no cost to you. You will find those URLs in the description below. Why don't we get right into the story, our featured story that we're going to cover today, which is MAGA becoming Christian nationalist, or will it be something other? Maybe this new version of populism, inclusive populism, which is what they are calling it over in Rhino headquarters. Both of those, I guess, brands exclude race. So let's go ahead and jump right in. If you have any, again, comments or questions, you may also tag me as No White Guilt. Former U.S. President Donald Trump speaking during the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit held at the Tampa Convention Center on July 23, 2022 in Tampa, Florida. Former President Donald Trump said Saturday, Americans kneel to God alone. And I'll jump in and mention right now that this dog whistling, which really was not it's the dog whistling that I was talking about on the last Going Free, which is that there is a dog whistling, but it's meant to mislead white people, to make us believe that the politicians care about us and our interests. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you can just anybody straight to hell that thinks that there's something wrong with white people being concerned about our welfare, our well-being, our interests, our destiny, etc. That is the way it is. Everybody gets to worry about their destiny. Everybody gets to worry about their people. White people get to do it as well. And the more white people that do this, the more white people that come together for the benefit of white well-being, the better off the United States, indeed all of Western civilization, will be. But what have we had? Politician after politician, election cycle after election cycle. What have we had? We have politicians that come out there and they dog whistle. But this is not the dog whistling that I mentioned on Going Free that the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats, all these Democrat voters, would have you believe. They argue in their anti-white narrative that these white politicians get out there and they are secretly saying, they are winking at us and they're saying, hey, we're going to say it's for America. We're going to say it's for etc. But it's really just for us white people. We're just going to hoard it all together for the benefit of white people. It has never been that way. Never for any of our lives. And I have had it up to here, hearing from these folks with these claims. Everybody knows the open secret, the obvious truth, that nothing is for the benefit of white people. So understand these politicians for what they really are. Don't try to mind read President Trump, former President Trump, when he was making these claims that people said, oh, it's got to be about us. It's got to be. And all of these white people went out and voted for this guy. And then how much did he actually do for us? Talking about our country. It is our country. We founded it. It is bequeathed to the rightful inheritors, not the world. It is our country. Period. That is what the founding fathers envisioned. That's what they created. If they wanted to give it to the world, they would have given it to the world. They would have said so. But the politicians, they don't do anything for us. They dog whistle all right. It's just not for folks like us. What they're doing is for our benefit. What they're doing is they're saying with a wink, wink, and a smile that, oh, this is going to be for you. We're going to do some things finally for you. We're going to make America great again. And so don't you think that means you? Don't you think that your neighborhoods will be able to be policed? Your neighborhoods will be able to be safe. Your world around you across the United States will begin to look once again more like Western civilization, more like the biosphere that's in your heart. Don't you want that? Well, when I say make it great again, that's what I'm really actually talking about. Wrong. Can you believe that we have gotten to the point across the West, and in the United States in particular, where white people are deceived with a wink and a smile? where white people are so easily tricked because they're so gullible that a politician can get up in front of you and say, we're going to go back to founding principles. We're going to go back and say a bunch of things that makes all white people across the United States, including anti-white white people, makes all white people think, oh, finally something for us. Finally, we're not always going to be the bad guys. Finally, we're not always going to have everything just wrenched from us. Finally, we're not going to see year after year just the march of white erasure in every sector of our goddamn lives. Finally, he's got my vote. She's got my vote. And then 4 years or whatever it is, and it's nothing but excuses. And you have these sorry souls that continue to make excuses for they want to just hold on. It's got to be. You know what? As I said with Donald Trump from the very beginning and all of these politicians, any politicians that get up there, what they actually do for us, what they actually do, that is what I'm looking to see. When they actually say, oh, I'm going to care about the founding stock, which are white people, which are Westmen, men, women, and children. Western civilization is the apex, according to the world, the apex of civilization, because everybody comes here. Nobody looks at Nicaragua and thinks, that is where I want to be. Nobody looks at Saudi Arabia and thinks, that's what I want. No, they see Western civilization, that's what they want. And I personally welcome all good people of all immutable characteristics, especially to join with us here and take down anti-whitism, including these politicians who are going to come forward and dog whistle deception. That's what it is. Somebody write that down for me. Dog whistling deception. Because that is what they do. Then what you have on the other side is you have these white people, these anti-white white people, anti-white non-white people. And they see and hear those dog whistles as well. And then they, in accordance with their anti-white narrative, they say, oh, this is so. This is so. Once they get into office, it's going to be the continuation of this total fiction that we're all forced to live. This absolute endless gaslighting bullshit that we are all forced to live. It's going to be this endless, and white people are just going to be accruing. They're just going to be taking in the money. They're just going to be raking it in for the benefit of them. That's what it's all about. Well, we need to put an end to this dog whistling deception, ladies and gentlemen. When they come out and they say the things that sound like they're talking to us, say, no, I'm sorry. Are you talking about white people? I want to know if you're actually talking about making things better for white people. If you're actually talking about the interests of white people in the United States. Westman, say it, Trump. Say it or it's bullshit. And that's how every politician has to be treated. And when you can't put them on the spot and make them admit to all the white population across the country, make them admit repeatedly, no, it's not. When I say make America great again, I am not talking about white people. I'm talking about all the races and all the cultures here and all the mishmash, all the witches' cauldron. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about continuing to stir that witch's cauldron of feces, just excrement and putrefaction. That's what I'm talking about doing. I'm just going to stir more of that shit. If you can't do that, the next best thing you can do, stop the ridicule. Stop the ridicule. If you get nothing else from Jason Goes Political, and we're going to talk about how many more of these I'm going to do, if I'm going to do more, how often I'm going to do more, because this is the 10th show. The ridicule needs to be aimed, 100% of it, at Republican politicians, conservative content creators. None for anti-whites. They call themselves Marxists, if they call themselves Democrats, if they call themselves liberals, if they call themselves woke, 100%. If you can't get to these people and prove for their audiences that they are actually anti-white and don't care about white people. They're talking about abstractions in the world. They're talking about just thoughts that we could have. And maybe in Alex Jones' term, if as long as the ideas survive, then I don't care what the country looks like race-wise. If you can't get to them that way, then make 100% of your ridicule, of your mocking, of your embarrassing them at their town halls, at their promotions, at their rallies, at their interviews. 100% for these politicians. People love this Bobart. Make that bitch say white race. Make her say Western kind. Make her say Western civilization. Make her say founding stock America, which is Westmen, men, women, and children. You like these people? You're going to say it. You're going to say it so that everyone knows. There's going to be no more doubt. If you're not saying white, then we're going to kick your ass down the street and we'll get somebody who will. Both of these approaches, Christian nationalism, inclusive populism, ladies and gentlemen, are anti-white. Why are they anti-white? Because anything that isn't openly, adamantly averring a white positive position is anti-white in the world today. You got it? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. So if they're out there saying, well, I like these young, patriotic, fired up audiences that are 90% white. Well, then say that they're white. Say it. We're going to talk about this Christian nationalism. A lot of people are young, even though they might be 80 years old. Their mentality is quite young, is quite stunted, is quite truncated like other parts of their body. Because they don't remember, they don't know. They're not using reason, logic, and evidence. They're not looking at history. They're not reflecting even on the span of their own lives. Every time the country gets into a weakened state and the anti-whites who call themselves Democrats are running away on a full sprint, they'll slow down again. They'll slow down a full sprint right now, but they'll come down. They'll have to catch a breather. Every time people turn back to religion, it is understandable. It is natural for the human animal to turn back to religion. But Christian nationalism is bullshit because it's not race-based. You're going to talk about Jesus Christ. You're going to talk about etc. You better be able to say this is for white people at the start, at the jump. Because if you don't, I'm going to tell you what about Christian nationalism. It's got giant schisms in it. I'm going to get back to this article. It's got giant schisms about is this version, is this interpretation, is this, and they all fight over it every day. They all fight over it. But one thing they don't fight over, and that is we are all God's children. So race doesn't matter. We're just all the same. And anybody who would come in here saying different, is sinning. I've heard that at every denomination. I've heard that at every Christian denomination. I've heard it at Catholic church. I've heard it at Mormon church. I've heard it at Baptist church. I've heard it everywhere. Same thing. If you're going to come out here and talk about race, well, then you are sinning against God. I'm fired up today. God damn it. His comments come as the concept of Christian nationalism grows among the far right. And of course, there's plenty in this Insider article. I don't know, how much can you see on the TV there? Okay, you can see all of it. There's plenty here to dig into. GOP rep Lauren Boebert recently said, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government, close quote. Say white people for the interests of white people that you are not going to continue. You are going to put your foot down, Boebert. You're going to put your foot down, and you're not going to allow white people to be victimized anymore. Say it. I don't want you to just say Christianity, wink, wink. I don't want none of these more dog whistling deception bullshit. I don't want you to say make America great again. I don't want you to talk about how America used to be great and we want to go to that place when America was great as wink, wink. I'm talking about you white people. No, I want to hear white people. I want you talking about my white ass, which means what? Which means that you reach out to me and people like me, and you do interviews with me and people like me, and you talk to people like me and people like me, because I'm not too hot to touch. Well, you know, I'm pretty hot, but that makes most want to touch me more. But I'm not too hot to touch politically if you care about white people. Because here we bring everyone, every race. They're listening to me rant right now. Non-white people, all immutable characteristics, fired up about my white ass, pissed off about what's being done to America. Why? Because they like Western civilization. And they know white people do Western civilization. They know that anti-whitism is destroying Western civilization. So they know anti-whitism has to be taken down. I am as real as it's going to get. I am as raw as it's going to get. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to retreat into some, oh, this is just Christianity. I'm just talking about my faith. Maybe I misinterpreted. That's why I brought up race. I'm not going to say to you, I'm just kidding, actually. Don't you know the difference between my jokes and my reality? Can't you see that? What is the problem? You can't take a joke? I'm not going to say any of that shit. I'm saying for almost 3 decades, enough is enough. Enough victimizing of Western kind. Enough victimizing of white children. And that every non-white person can join with me, and they have. I got pictures of non-white people holding up my books. Join me to put an end to anti-whitism. Former president, forever former president, Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you what. This guy, things I like, things I don't like, things he succeeded, things he failed. He would have done a lot more, accomplished much more of his promises if he hadn't have been such a businessman, thinking that we can have win-win scenarios. No, we can't, buddy. This is win-lose. All of it is win-lose in politics. There is no win-win. I'm going to tell you what. If he comes out again, if he decides to run for president or vice president, which would really just be a gelded, just feckless, effeminate thing to do. If he does this and he comes out again and he gives us some of these dog whistling deceptions, we have got to ridicule him to the end of time. We have to mock him so much, and we have to mock anyone that would be his fan so much that the mere thought, the mere idea that someone would show up at a Trump rally and support him would make them turn green and inside of themselves and not leave the house, peeking out through the blinds for their embarrassment, for even thinking of supporting this guy. He is going to say, we're going to do this for the white race, or nothing at all, or he's lying. We are going to serve the interests of the white race. And if you got a problem with it, then you're anti-white. And if you're anti-white, America is not the place for you. Western civilization is not the place for you. He's going to say that, or we will ruin him. Total bullshit. Said during a speech on Saturday, another dog-whistling deception. Americans kneel to God alone, as the concept of Christian nationalism continues to gain traction among conservatives. Trump made the comment while speaking at an event in Tampa, Florida, held by Turning Point USA, another group that would never allow yours truly to speak. Why? Non-white people support me. Non-white people are with those who want to take down anti-whitism. So then what's their, you would say initially, oh, well, the conservative leadership, not the rank and file, good folks, the conservative leadership, they're just, they're in the anti-white narrative, and they're worried about, they got to make sure that non-white people are seen. Non-white people are participating in what I'm doing, in what we are doing here. They are participating. Then all that's left in that equation is that they're anti-white. That's all this. And who specifically? Well, the money people, because he who pays the piper calls the tune. If you haven't heard that before, maybe you were not told that story because you were too busy being told like African tales about villages needing to raise children. In Western civilization, it took one man and one woman to raise the best the world has ever seen. Maybe in Africa, it takes a whole village. And that's why we're not going to ignore their aphorisms. A student conservative group and posted a clip of it on his Truth Social account. Dumbest name ever. Quote, "We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever, ever back down." I hope that was impromptu. Think of the speechwriter. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand a chance. Well, what are we united on? You cannot be united on abstractions. My God. Abstractions are not identity. And if those who are promising to you that they are going to take the fight to the Democrats, who are united on victimizing Western kind, if they are telling you, well, we're just going to get together on a bunch of ideas, that you could take two people out of even the conservative rank and file and say, what exactly does this mean? And what exactly does that same thing? And they'll have different answers. If these people continue to tell you that's what we're going to do, you're going nowhere. And how do I know that? Oh, maybe my whole life of watching you losers lose. That's all you're good at. You losers are good at losing. So an entire lifetime is enough. I'm sick of it. We will not break. We will not yield. Trump said, quote, "Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone." Well, who speaks for God? The church? Which one? The satanic church? Who speaks for God today in America? In what used to be Western civilization, now a rotting carcass of Western civilization, with these anti-white maggots just going through it as rapidly as they can. Who speaks for God? Trump's office did not respond to insiders' requests for comment. But the remark comes as Christian nationalism and as some of its ideologies have spread among the GOP. Recent reports from the New York Times, the New Yorker, and CNN all suggest Christian nationalism is on the rise, particularly among the far right. And that's what I would refer to. I wrote myself jotted down a couple of notes. They're worth looking at, probably because you'll never, ever read anything this intelligent elsewhere in your life. And so I will share them. But these are people who are Republican voters, but who are dissidents to the Republican Party. This is what Insider is referring to as far right. So Donald Trump, clearly a dissident to the Republican Party. What is the Republican Party trying to rebrand as? What are the Democrats trying to rebrand as? The Democrats are trying to rebrand as progressive populists. This new wave. They're trying to capture each of these. It's this jockeying all the time for these little catchphrases. This is politics in the modern West. Why? Because we don't have any warrior genius heroes that are in charge. Why don't we have any warrior genius heroes who are in charge? Because the moneyed people who could put them in front of everyone and tell the dumbed down masses, this is who you're going to follow, because they're too fucking dumb to understand who they should follow, to pick the right person. They can't pick the right chapstick. They can't pick the right toothpaste. They can't pick the right investment. But they're going to pick the person, the men who are going to reclaim the destiny of Western civilization. Give me a break. So this is politics now. So you have all of these, they want to rebrand as progressive populists, the Democrats. They're anti-whites. They'll come up with even better terms to make themselves look even better. And then conservative leaders will tell every one of the rank and file, conservative, patriots, etc., this is what you call them, what they want to be called. Why? Because those people who are in charge, who are giving you your marching orders, are your victimizers as well. That is the exact reason. But what are the rhinos trying to do? They are trying to rebrand as inclusive populists. as though this is something new. The Republican Party, when I worked on the Hill in the nerve center for the conservative movement in the United States, the nerve center, in other words, the leaders of all of the big conservative groups, the biggest, came every Wednesday. And there was a giant off the record lunch where everything was discussed with White House staff, Republican Party representatives, representatives of both houses of the government. They all came and they talked about what we're going to do. And what were we going to do? All the way back then was everything they could to be big tent, inclusive. There have been a number of terms they've used over the years, and it has always meant they're going to focus on non-white groups and give them preferential treatment, special privileges. And how can you give preferential treatment and special privileges unless you have a mean, unless you have an average, unless you have a norm who doesn't get preferential treatment and special privileges? Who are they? Have you thought about that? It's us. We are the mean. We are the norm. We are the average against which others can be given preferential treatment and special privileges. Well, it's non-white groups, it's homosexuals, it's on and on and on. Now you see today the Republicans doing like they always do with their proxy issues. There are Republicans today, rhinos, who are talking about how we have to protect interracial marriage. We have to pass laws right now to make sure that no state could ever say in the United States that homosexual marriage is going to be now given a different name, so that we can have an optimal scenario in this state, which is marriage between a man and a woman. Why is that optimal? Why is that optimal? Because if all marriages were men with men and women with women, that's it. Show's over, folks. Show's over. So you have an optimal scenario in your civilization. Men and women and how they end up raising children. There's an optimal scenario there, etc. So a state might say to itself, and I don't even know if there's any rumblings anywhere of anything like this. They might say, you know what? Homosexuals should be afforded the right to, of all of these sorts of things that you see and they've argued for when it came to marriage, being able to get into their loved one when he's on his deathbed or she's on her deathbed or whatever it might be, etc. All of it. But we're not going to call it marriage, because that's going to be a special title reserved for an optimal scenario. No Republican can say that. Not one. And I know for sure nowhere in the United States is anybody talking about banning or making illegal interracial marriage. Give me a break. But the Republicans today, at the federal level and elsewhere, talking about money's got to be put aside to secure homosexual and interracial marriage. That's got to be preserved no matter what. Those people should be absolutely pilloried. They should be a laughing stock, not by the Democrats, not by Democrat voters, not by your run-of-the-mill anti-whites, us. We should ridicule. They shouldn't be able to go anywhere in society. And you know this, the police let the anti-whites go even when they stalk and pressure Supreme Court justices. They can go after House members, they can go after Senate members, as long as they got an R. They can chase them anywhere they want. How are the police going to know that you're not an anti-white when you show up to mock that SOB? How are they really going to know? Mock them, mock their families, mock their staffs, ridicule every single one of them. Put them on the spot when you can to demonstrate that they're anti-white to their constituencies, to demonstrate they don't give a shit about what happens to white people, their white voters. or ridicule. That's it. This is what the Republicans are doing. So the Republicans are now talking, the rhinos, they're now talking about inclusive populism. We're going to have inclusive populism. And then what did Bannon say? This is going to be the party of, what was it, non-whites and workers or something like that. I mean, outright saying no white people. Nothing new under the sun. Nothing new to get pissed off about. Nothing new to be surprised about. Are you surprised? Have you ever had an intellectual competition with a gerbil and lost? Maybe you are surprised. Maybe you're 13 and you're just now looking out into the world. You've stopped the navel gazing and the playing with the toys, and you're finally out there and you're like, what's going on in the world? Oh my God, they're totally betraying us. I get it, then you're okay. You're forgiven. Everyone else, you're not forgiven. You better pretend like you're in this, you have the same knowledge I have. You better pretend like you've been the same all this time and you're ready for some action. So you have the dissidents to the rhinos who are saying Christian nationalism, turning again to religion when all else goes wrong. Stay on your knees, because before you were on your knees and servicing anti-whitism. Now you're just going to stay on your knees and you're going to service anti-whitism wearing a preacher's garments, wearing the garments of a priest. So just stay down there on your knees where cowards live. We need men, goddammit. We need men on their feet, ready to come home with their shields or on them, metaphorically speaking. According to Christianity today, Christian nationalism is, quote, the belief that American nation is defined by Christianity, and that it 100% was a Christian nation. And the white people that continue, the vast majority of white people that continue to live in the United States are still either Christian or culturally Christian. And for everybody out there in the white sympathetic sphere that are going to suddenly get all affronted and curl their lips, shut the fuck up. Suck it up. Christianity we have made it into who and what we are. That's how it ended up serving Western kind so well. That is what every race of people does with every ideology, even economy. Every race of people takes an ideology. They take it on board. They interpret it from the view of their biospirit, and they change it to reflect themselves. Look at what the black race, for example, and the Hispanic race and the variations, Central South America, have done to Christianity when there isn't a omnipresent white influence on them. They can just make of it what they want. Does it look like Christianity anymore? So stop with this baby ass, I can't take it, the Christians. And the same thing with the Christians when it comes to the pagans. Stop with this, oh my God, the pagans, with the exception of all these witches in the pagan circles. The pagan guys, stop complaining to me. Kick the witches out. If there are females in your midst, stop worshiping them if they want to be worshipped. And they're playing witch. And what was it that Fuentes was saying as witches? I mean, maybe you guys need to start talking about that in your pagan circles when the women are trying to assert themselves as the mouthpieces of gods. Oh yeah, I heard that over the years too. The mouthpieces of gods. Women speak for the gods. Ladies, do you know where that actually comes from? And guys out there who seem to have lost their testicles, I see a lot of testicles rolling around across the landscape. They all came from white guys, like with a couple of non-white guys out there, but they're all mostly from white guys. Testicles rolling everywhere. You know where that women speak for the gods came from? Possessed by devils. Oh yeah, that's what white people. That's what the texts in old European lore that were burnt up by the Christians, the white Christians. That's what those texts talked about. That women would be possessed by devils, not speak for gods. And when they were possessed by devils, they weren't worshipped. Trust me. So, all these Christian haters, shut up. All the pagan haters, shut up. We don't have any more time for this. So what is Christian nationalism today? Will you watch 100%? People like Trump and all of these others, Boebert and the rest, oh yeah. You watch when they start making their statements about how it's multiracial, about how it doesn't care about the white race. It's about all races of people. And that, my friends, is a meme pathogen. And if you're not implementing the Go Free method in your life, nothing will help you. You will continue to be benighted until the end of time for you, which probably isn't very long off in the future, given the course of things across the country and the West. Meme pathogen. When they say it's for everyone, that's everybody but white people. We know the actionable definition of it's for everyone. Red, white, black, green, and purple. That's what these conservative loser leaders will say. It's so pathetic. I always feel like I'm sitting in some nursery room. I'm always at Sunday school with some just domineering white bitch at the front of the room. And it's for black and green and purple and yellow and white and fluorescent. Shut up, bitch. Because every time they say that, it means you white people, you get nothing. You get nothing except more victimization, more white erasure. Keep telling us about how many non-white friends you have. None of those people are your real friends. You go ahead and tell any of those non-white people. We'll see how fast, because the non-white people in my world know that there ain't no victimization of white race with me. And so that then I'm able to actually determine, can this person actually be a friend to me, even an acquaintance to me? You're a conservative out there, and you got your non-white friends, acquaintances, where you are worshiping non-white people. You want to paternalistically pat them on the head, pat them on the butt. Get up on the stage, honey. You're the only one here who's not white. Keynote speaker. Yeah, they like you a lot when you behave like that. See how much they like you when you say, you know what, you actually don't have any right to be on the stage. You haven't done the work. You haven't paid your dues. You haven't, in the scenario I'm making here. Not every scenario. You're not smart enough. You're not a leader in this community. You're not going to be talking about the victimization of Western kind when you get up there, and that you're sick and tired of it. So, you don't get to be on the stage. I'm sorry. But you can happily be here, and just like me, who doesn't get to be on the stage either, and applaud somebody else who deserves to be up there. How does that sound? No? Oh, I guess you weren't my friend all along. According to Christianity today, Christian nationalism is, quote, the belief that the American nation is defined by Christianity and that the government should take active steps to keep it that way. Christian nationalists believe the U.S. is and should remain a Christian nation. The U.S. is stopped being a Christian nation a long time ago. A long time ago. You were not born to a Christian nation. If you are hearing my voice, this was not a Christian nation when you were born. So stop around. Stop pretending that we're on top and we just need to prevent some little bit of change happening here. We just need to prevent things. You are under heel. All right? The revolution has been on in this country since your birth. They've been tearing it all down since you were born. Accept reality. It didn't get bad 10 years ago. It didn't get bad 13. Don't tell me in 2008 it really wasn't that bad. All you're telling me is your head was up your ass until 2008. That's all it says to me. That's all it says to people with high IQs and who have had their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world. They also believe in freedom of religion, but that Christianity should have a, quote, privileged position in the public square, close quote, the outlet reported. Well, this whole thing about freedom of religion, thanks to antiwhitism, freedom of religion means any religion. It means any any concepts of faith or belief, no matter how depraved, no matter how disgusting, and then it should be able to, no matter how alien it is to the biosphere of Western kind. Fuck all that. The founding fathers obviously were not talking about Satanism and all of these other weird beliefs. God bless them. I know they're wonderful people, practice the weird beliefs and systems. If they want to practice it without it influencing, without it being on society, without it being in our faces, and you want to be otherwise a productive, law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, then whatever. But the moment you try to force that shit on us and our country, I got a problem with it. Don't want to see it. Don't want to be influenced on it. I don't give a shit that you don't see yourself represented in our schools, in our government, in our media. Go back to your country if you want to see yourself represented. Nobody is going over to your country. No white person is going over to your country and saying, or the country you came from, and saying, we're going to change everything here because I don't feel represented. I'm gonna brown erase your ass. I'm gonna yellow erase. I'm gonna black erase. I'm gonna Jew erase your ass. Nobody is saying that. And I'm going to tell you, people like Boebert, they're not going to talk like me out of office. I don't want to hear, but Jason, she really thinks. You don't know what she really thinks. You don't know what she really thinks. If you know what she really thinks, tell me what the lotto numbers are tomorrow. If you know what she's really thinking, then why haven't you made a 10 million off Apple stock? You don't know shit. Sick of listening to dumb people. Sick of dumb people deciding who's going to be leading us. Sick of these Mayberry morons. These sewing circle males. The CNN report, published Sunday, asserts an even darker side to the ideology. You see, so being anti-white, and that's the other thing. Do you see what folks do here? Do I not have your attention yet? Do I have to set fire to the Jason Goes Political office to get your fucking attention? Anti-whites are saying that anti-white Christian nationalism is not anti-white enough. And so the average white person is going to say, well, the most radical anti-whites are saying anti-white Christian nationalism is problematic. And so I'm just going to go over there and I'm going to support them. No, you chew tobacco, spitting in the can, idiots riding around with your American flags flying off the back of the truck and whatever else. No, the anti-whites don't know what's going to defeat them. They're not going to tell you. They're not that dumb. You might be, but they're not. If they saw, which some of them have when they look at the Go Free method, if they see what actually defeats them, if they're able to see and identify what it is, the last thing they are going to do is Streisand affect it right into your lap. These anti-whites have been, at the top, are very high IQ. That's how they defeated the West, including the United States, with ideas. Not with bombs, not with missiles, not with machine gun fire, not with any of that shit, but with concepts. That's how they did it. And that will be the only thing, that is the only thing that defeats anti-whiteism. It's even darker, claiming that Christian nationalists use theology to justify sexism and racism as a means to attain an ideal white Christian America. Oh, yeah? Why don't you head on over to that organization, the one they cited here? Why don't you head on over to see the kind of people that Trump hires? Did Trump, for example, what about Boebert? What about all of these others that are supposedly these great, ostensible Christian nationalists? Are they out there hiring just like nothing but hard-ass white males that have the highest IQ in the room, that have the most training, that are ready to be merciless for America? Are they doing that? Or do they have a bunch of this, a bunch of that, a bunch of the other thing, a bunch of the mystery meat, a bunch of the trying to decide whether it's a this or a that or the other gender? What are they hiring? How many women? I don't care how many women that were smart, there were very smart women that worked for Trump. Why are you hiring women, Trump? Who is that appeasing? What kind of environment does that create? Do we really need a counter-revolution led by women? Because when has that worked in the world? Where is that matriarchy that came down from the past? And trust this, folks. If you haven't thought about it, everything was tried in the past. Every ruler, every society, every tribe has tried everything to stay in power. Every tribe tried everything to dominate those that wanted to dominate them. Every ruler, male or female, tried everything. Females in combat and warfare, all female armies, they tried everything. And what was left was what worked. And that was men in charge, militaries of men. No around. Politics, if you maybe you don't know Karl von Clausewitz, you want to cite, and that's the other thing, everybody wants to go cite Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, all these white people. It's all about Sun Tzu. Not that there isn't intelligence in the writings of Sun Tzu, but for God's sakes, it's a pamphlet compared to Karl von Clausewitz. Not to mention, Clausewitz happens to be in your racial tree. Sun Tzu, not so much. I get it. Clausewitz on war, Sun Tzu. Clausewitz on war, Sun Tzu. Let's talk more about Sun Tzu. So where are the decisions? What are these people choosing to do? So there isn't any. These are just meme pathogens. Sexism, and then you're going to see these Republicans hire more women. Then now they can't call us sexist. Look at all the women we have. Oh, there's a sexual issue going on over here. Oh, damn. Oh, another capitulation by another. Why is she crying in the office? There's no crying in the office. What do you mean you have to go get a diaper? You're not leaving until the job is done. Did that hurt your feelings? Well, it's time to toughen up, cupcakes. And that's both males and females. And for anybody out there that can't toughen up, this isn't a place for you. Not being in charge isn't. You can cast votes. You can participate in other ways. Passing out leaflets. But being in charge, not for you. Not for you. Then they're going to say, well, it's racism over there with these Christians. Look at that Trump. There's so many racists. And then Trump's going to say, look at my black guy. Quoted Trump. Idiots. You know, if there was a non-white person working with what I'm doing, they would actually deserve to be there. They wouldn't be there on the basis of their race at all. It would be because that was the best, only person that could have that job. And that's why I would pick that person. Why? Because I want to put an end to anti-whitism. Period. Period. I want to save America. Period. I don't want to appease anti-whites. So what they'll do, you know what they'll do. The Insider, CNN report, they'll say, well, yeah, Trump has bent over backwards with females to bring them into to positions of power and a bunch of non-whites, which means what? Means white men didn't get these jobs on the basis of them having a penis and not being something other than white. That sounds fair to me. That sounds fair to me. So what they'll do is then they'll go out into the hinterland and they'll say, who else out there is calling themselves Christian nationalists and what kinds of things that they are saying? And then they'll just quote those people. And you know who those people will be. There are a couple little groups here and a couple little groups there, and they'll find some really ugly things that these people have said. And then that's what they'll report. This is what they're doing. And then what's going to happen? All these sewing circle bitches that occasionally or often vote Republican. Well, they won't vote Republican that time. They're not going to get my vote, says Aunt B in Mayberry. They're not going to get my vote because don't you know that America First guy over there said something racist? Well, bitch, you shouldn't be able to vote then. If that's what you're deciding your vote on. Darker side. Let's see. The report said such ideas were becoming increasingly common in churches around the nation. Total bullshit. Everybody knows. And here's the other thing. Before I look at my notes, we're not going to be here much longer. Questions, comments, financial gifts, get them in. This is another thing that everyone knows across America. Don't lie to me. Do not lie to me. I'm not your feckless father or mother who wished that she could stand when she pisses. You can't lie to me. I don't care about your feelings. I want to save America, Western kind, Western civilization. When you go into a church, what kind of men do you find at church? Don't lie to me. I've been in all the churches. Don't lie to me. What kind of men do you find? Type it in the chat. You find cowards. You find effete men. You find weak men. You find excuses men. Oh, won't you come in, please? Have a seat. Would you like to be in our sewing circle? What would Jesus do in this case here? He would bring you in and how can I lie down on the floor so that you could walk across me? Because the carpet's kind of old. So that you could walk across me to get to the pews where you can stink like the rest of us. That's what you find at church today. You're not finding the founding fathers. You know, there was a day for all those real Christians, the folks out there who will call themselves real Christians. You know very well who you are. You don't need for me to identify you and define you for everybody else. You know who you are. It was a day, especially down home here in the Southland, when there were people like Stonewall Jackson that used to turn up at church every Sunday and Wednesday and sometimes other days. Stonewall Jackson, who said, "Give them the bayonet." There were days when there were men like Patrick Henry who showed up. The gray ghost John Singleton Mosby, George Patton. There were days when folks like that showed up at church. And the things that were said there rang true for them. Heroes of the West. Them and many more. There were days like that, but those days are long gone. And you've got to admit the truth. So if your recourse is to say, well, politically, all we can do now is say Christian nationalism, and we'll go to the churches. And we will do what? Round up the sewing circles? And then talk to them about coming out and doing political warfare with the people, the anti-whites, the people who only in movies, not in the real world, of course, but only in movies, can steal elections. The people who can commit rape and murder and break the biggest crimes in the country and walk if nothing happens. The people who can be using crack and tying bags around the faces of whores. And none of it's reported anywhere. And the FBI, you find out, what is it, from Grassley's? Who is it? Whose office has the information? Coming out from, supposedly, I'm not telling you that this is true. You'll have to check it out for yourself. Supposedly, in the FBI, they said, nope, you're not going to investigate those crimes anymore, no matter how bad they actually are, no matter how treasonous those crimes are, and no matter how high that treason and corruption goes in the American government, and no matter how inappropriate this order is being given, no matter how illegal this cessation to any investigation is being done, no matter how wrong, illegal, immoral, unethical, you're not doing it. You think you're going to go up against those kinds of people with sewing circles? You think you're going to go up there against those kind of people with folks who will immediately respond by hiring more non-whites and more women the moment they say racist, sexist, or any other meme pathogen, the moment they throw those things around, the moment those people say, what about homosexual marriage? What about interracial marriage? These people over here are going to say, well, we'll just support rules and laws and we will put forward bills and we'll make sure that stays in place. So please give me some credibility. Tell people I'm somewhat legitimate. You really think you're going to go up against them with folks like that with the sewing circle? With a claim that you were just joking? With a claim that this is about Jesus Christ? You really think these demons are going to acquiesce to that? That's why you lose. That's why this country and all the rest of the West are in this shape. You can't pick who's the right person and folks to be in charge. That's the problem. You don't know how. And unfortunately, getting worse doesn't make you smarter, does it? We just officially found out today that we've been in a recession for the past 6 months. Officially found that out today. And the Democrats in the United States are putting forward bills to get us out of the recession by way of taxation and massive spending. There is nothing more patently obvious that could not work than that to change the economic landscape. It's going to benefit this band of criminals, these anti-white criminals. That's what it's going to do. It is so obvious that passive people like Neil Cavuto on Fox News today was arguing. What's the guy's name? Gene Sperling, the chief for the White House advisor for spending. And Neil Cavuto they were talking over each other. Neil, laid back, kind of wimpish Cavuto on Fox News was yelling at Sperling today in an interview, saying, "This obviously can't. You obviously know this won't work. You obviously know." And the Sperling lying, thieving demon just keeps saying, "No, we think it will. We think it will. We're going to tax the shit out of people. We're going to spend wildly." That's how we're going to fix this. You all got to sober up real quick. You have to sober up really fast. Because little slogans, it was just excuses, it was just a joke. This is just about Jesus Christ and Christianity. Little stuff like this is not going to be able, as you can see over the course of your life, not going to be able to work with anti-white demons like these. Where nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred. They don't hold any of your morality. There isn't a custom or norm that they will set down their desires because it is an affront. It is by way of the custom or the norm, unethical, illegal, whatever. There is nothing that will make them subjugate their will. You got to sober up real quick and start picking the right people. And you're not going to be able to hide. A lot of people out there talking about hiding, creating little communities in Amish. And I'm all for, like the Amish, I'm all for relocating to continue, get out of a bad place, to continue the struggle. You have to embrace the struggle. You have to live and be the struggle. I'm all for relocating to most effectively do that. But there ain't going to be any Amish community, my friends. There ain't going to be any white communities allowed to just stay apart. You're not going to be able to be some weird little clique somewhere. That only is able to exist because white people, fairness, Western civilization. After Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 21, which is what? They stormed? They stormed. You mean they walked in? You mean a couple of windows that were broken that insurance will pay for, right, Nancy? Right, Nance? Insurance going to pay for that, right? Patriots Day. How you sober up today is you never say January 6th again. You say Patriots Day. This is going to be the first day of your sobriety. Carried crosses or invoked theology to justify their actions. Some argued the insurrection, you mean patriotism, also represented a, quote, Christian revolt. And now, see, that's the kind of thing that Trump won't say. He'll come close to it unless he has maybe Jesus himself will appear. And Trump will suddenly say, okay, it is a Christian revolt. We're doing this for white people. No more victimization of whites. If he comes close to that, my money is on him with some deceptive dog whistling. More deceptive dog whistling for you all. That's what it is. Deceptive dog whistling. The concept and some of its ideology. So what did they do? They went to some like lonely website somewhere. And maybe it's a big, maybe it's got thousands of people that show up and read and listen. Maybe it's smaller. But that's where they're going to get quotes like that from. It's not going to be from the dissidents to the rhino establishment. The dissident Republican voters to the rhino establishment. You're not going to hear that from the official dissidents to the rhino establishment, like Trump, maybe like Bobart, maybe like these others. The concept and some of the ideologies have been touted recently by Republican lawmakers. GOP, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, let's see what she said, also attended the Turning Point USA event, identified herself as a Christian, my God, Christian nationalist, in an interview this weekend while explaining that Republicans need to represent their voters instead of lobbyists or big donors. Quote, they're quoting her, "We need to be the party of nationalism, and I'm Christian, and I say it proudly. We should be Christian nationalists," Greene said. Well, that doesn't say anything about white people to me. I'm not going to read into what Greene is saying here. And you don't either. Today is the first day of your sobriety. Stop reading into these people what they are not saying. They have to say the name of our people, Western kind, or they're not saying it at all, and they're not thinking it. Party of nationalism. What does she mean by that? What does she mean by Christian? What does she mean by Christian nationalism? Adding that when the GOP learns to represent their voters, the party will grow. Well, deceptive dog whistling. That's what that is to me. Marjorie, listen here, Cupcake. If you actually care about white people, I invite you right now to be a genuine patriot of the United States. Come on my show, come on my Going Free show on Sundays, and tell us, white race, Western kind, Westmen, men, women, and children. I care about them, and I'm going to put an end to the victimization of white people in America. The offer is there. Marjorie, whenever you're ready, Marge, whenever you're ready. I'm gonna bet though that you don't say that. I'm gonna bet that this is some deceptive dog whistling, so that people will read that and say, "Oh, she means us. She means the people whose name you're not allowed to say." And think about that, how sick the country is, and in whose hands the power actually is held. That we are the race whose name you can't say when you talk about doing something good for a group of people. The race of people whose name you can't say. Well, I'll tell you what, if I run for office, you better believe I'm going to be saying the name of our race. You better believe it. And I will shame Marge and everybody else who won't say it. They keep the deceptive dog whistling going. I will make sure that they are a laughing stock. I will hire an actress to dress up and look just like Marge, and we will humiliate her. And that will be the end of her career. We will make these people fear us more than they fear the Democrat anti-whites and Republican anti-whites saying that they're racists or sexists. We will ruin their careers faster. You know, if I had the backing of big money, the way the anti-whites do, oh, you better believe. You better believe. I would call Marge up and I would say, look, Cupcake, you're going to say white race. You're going to say white race, or all kind of things in your world are going to legally change real fast. All kinds of things. And we're going to humiliate you so deeply that you won't be able to leave your house without having people throw tomatoes at you. Soft, spoiled ones, so that you don't get hurt, but you get soaked. See, we've been going too long and listening to too many people tell us that we need to be directing our ire for being victimized in America at Democrats. Too long. Direct our ire at all of these different groups who are anti-white and give themselves various names like Woke Brigade and SJW, all that time telling that's where you direct your ire. You don't have any control over the substantive resistance against those who would commit all manner of atrocity against the white race in America. Nothing. And you want to go after Democrats? No, you need to start firing flaming arrows, metaphorical flaming arrows, satire flaming arrows at the backs of people like Marge and Boebert until they get right. Quote, the church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church, she said last month. That is actually not how it works in the United States, dum-dum. She said last month, quote, that is not how our founding fathers intended it, and I'm tired of this separation of church. Oh, she actually says, tired of the separation of church and state junk. That's not in the Constitution. Oh, I see. So she's actually saying the church is supposed to control the government of the United States. That's an interesting interpretation. However, some Republicans have pushed back on such concepts, including Kinzinger, also a Christian. Oh, wait a second. You mean there might be a little bit of a battle over what Christianity means? And I wonder if you're one of these good Christians, you're one of the real Christians. When you look to the leadership, the national leadership of your religion, or the global leadership of your religion, do you see folks like you? Or do you see folks like Kinzinger? I think you need to sober up and start putting your support where it should be, rather than in this faux leadership who are going to deceptively dog whistle you into the grave. He blasted Boebert's remarks and compared them to the Taliban, an Islamic military group. Well, I ask you, I'm going to read that last one over. I'll take a look at my notes. I'm going to take a look at what you're saying. Then I'm out of here because I'm going to get to work on other things, because there are too many people who are going to see this and they're not going to give a shit enough. They're still going to be too drunk. They're still going to be drunk on the deceptive dog whistling, skipping their way back to the grave over which their mothers gave birth to them, legs spread as wide as possible. However, some Republicans have pushed back on the concepts, including Illinois Rep. Kinzinger, also a Christian. who blasted Boebert's remarks and compared them to the Taliban and Islamic militant group. Who do you fire the satire at? Boebert or Kitzinger? Who do you make sure that you burn to the ground? In this scenario, Boebert or Kitzinger? This is a test to see how sober or drunk you still are. Because you fire them at Boebert. Boebert needs to be talking about Western kind, not she's the best we have. If you are still one of these sewing circle bitches from Mayberry, functionally comatose Mayberry moron, and you're sitting around in the sewing circle and you're still saying, well, that's the best we got. We can't say anything bad about it. That's the best we have. That's the best we have. If the best we have puts us into the pages of history that are being white erased to make every act of villainy and demonism throughout all of recorded history our responsibility, the fault of us and all or any white children ever born into the future. If you are still doing that, then you do not need to have the right to do anything. I mean, this idea, there's too many people who have no sense are able to decide what's going to happen for all of us. The best we have, you shouldn't go after, no, burn the bitch down until she says white race. Not the church should be leading America. The church should be running. Do you really want the Christian church today running the United States? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? How about the Catholic Church? How good would the Catholic Church do? How about Baptists? That's what I was originally, Baptist. How about them? They're as anti-white as they come. They kick whole churches out who are not radically anti-white. How would they do in charge of America? Would it be any different? My God. I don't want these people talking about Christianity running the government. I don't want them talking about Christian nationalism. You know what Christian nationalism is for far too many? This is the last thing I'm going to look at these notes. Because sometimes you all need to have some history lesson as well. Real deal history lesson. Real deal. Christian nationalism, under that name and other various names, have been pathetic, ballless, cowardly euphemisms for too many in the white sympathetic sphere. Far too many over the years. It's come and gone in waves. In so many waves, it's unbelievable. It's more waves, more vicissitudes, more oscillation than the fucking ocean. I'm sick of it. Say white men, white children, white women, or keep your mouth shut. It's about Christianity. It's about Jesus Christ. Fuck you to hell. You know what? Here's my opinion. If it's Jesus, if it's Christianity, the creator, or something else you want to believe in, that creator made Western kind. He obviously wanted us to be here. That's all the religion I need. He made us. He obviously wants us here. He put the fight in me. He obviously wants us here. And if you are better adept at sitting in a sewing circle, then shut your yap, vote for who we tell you to vote for, and participate in other ways. Pass out leaflets, write checks, get into live chats, get into threads, spread the lexicon that works and defeats anti-whitism. I don't want to hear the shit that comes out of your mouth anymore. If I want that, I will squeeze the backside of you. That's all you have. It's all the good it is. If you're trying to say, or it's about Jesus, or it's about Christianity, or it's about, stop being a coward. Same thing holds for the pagans. This is about Western kind. You know, folks, I wish I could, as angry as I could get here,
as stern as I could be here, as a white man, a man of the West. And that's what you all need. You all need a man of the West, a brutal man of the West, to tell you like it is, to be able to take the steps that have to be taken against the demons, the anti-white demons in this world, to be able to do things that you can't stomach. If I could convey to you any other way, I would. There are other monsters on this planet. And if we don't recapture our destiny, they are already at the doors. They are already slithering in under the windows, through the dog door. They're already making their way into the house. There is hot war in the future for the West with other countries on planet Earth. Hot war. A lot of people are going to have to die because a lot of bitches, male and female, have been appeasing, have been saying, well, we're the non-white people in our group that we can put on the stage as keynote speaker. Far too long. Everybody looking for an easy way out. A lot of people, there are hot wars coming for the United States in the future. A lot of people are going to die because of this. With other countries on planet Earth. You can't do the calculation, but you weren't meant to be able to do the calculations. You just got to remember. You just got to learn. You just got to have somebody like me remind you what the jungle is really like. It's going to be me. It's going to be somebody just like me. Somebody that both makes you feel safe and scares the fucking shit out of you. I think I covered everything here. This is the 10th show of what is a 10-show run of Jason Goes Political to see how folks receive Jason Goes Political. Next Tuesday, I'll be back at 7. Or if not Tuesday, if something gets in the way again, I'll let you know during the week. I'll try to make it 7 as well. And I will tell you then what I'm going to do about this show. As of right now, I can tell you 100% I'm not stopping Jason Goes Political. When it airs, how often, etc., I have to think about. Because we have the numbers are such that they're not, we have advertising going, we have interest going. I would like your tips, and if you want to say to me, I don't like how mad you got, Jason, save it. Save it. Save it for anybody but me. Because those days are past. Maybe look in the mirror and talk about how you want more effeminate leadership. Talk about how you want more people who are more delicate. How you want people who look more like they are bureaucrats sitting in the fetid bureaucracy in the United States. You want more people like that? I know there are a lot of boomers out there, a lot of great boomers, a lot of older white people. Every time they see a new white young person show up who looks like he would be a good little functionary, a good little bureaucrat, they suddenly start writing $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 checks to these people. You can save us with your nice little suit. You look so cute. Those folks, you thinking you don't like what I had to say? Save it. Save it. You'll be dead soon anyhow. By your own deeds, by your own misdeeds, by your own cowardice. Your nieces will continue to be raped. Your sons will continue to be bludgeoned and deformed in beatings. Save it. You have other suggestions, other tips? Let me know. Stuff you might like to see, might like to not see, other than me being an adult. other than me being the adult in the room, save it. And that's what I'll be talking about next week. Let me see what you all have said over here on Entropy first. I'll check Odyssey next, Cash App, and then I'll see what you all have tagged me with in the live feeds, and then we will be out of here. Starting early, we had Eric, financially gift, 7 U.S. save the U.S. dollars. And with that, I think it just says $7. Maybe it meant 07. Either way, I'll give you a salute back if that was a salute. Thank you, Eric. Eric, again, this time for $3 over here on Entropy. Thank you so much. And for those who are unaware, if you're new, maybe you're not familiar with Entropy, you can follow the link to Entropy, right over to Entropy. That's in the description below. There's a question widget here. You can write into the question. We also call it the Tall Kevin widget. You can write your question or comment in there. It won't disappear unless you or I delete it. It doesn't roll off the screen like on the other platforms. Eric, with these $3, says, thank you for your timeless work for white well-being. Exclamation point. Thank you for your appreciation, sir. Suppose, because this show is very important to keep on the air. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for that as well. Promethean Epoch, $3 financial gift. Thank you, brother. He writes, keep the fire burning. Much appreciation to you. You're a true hero. You've been around, and you're doing the good deeds here in service to white well-being. Back again, Promethean Epoch, another $3, and writes here, quote, Christian nationalism, close quote, is just the anti-white rebranding, quote, the moral majority, close quote, deception under Reagan in the 1980s. That is very interesting right there. That is a very interesting thought. That's not impossible, because this Christian nationalism comes and goes. So everybody's saying it now are not the people who invented it. You're absolutely right, Promethean Epoch. That's fascinating. Let's remember that Promethean Epoch said that here, so we can give credit. So somebody help me remember. Because it does get white people to surrender enough of their ire, surrender enough of their fury, enough of their time they would have dedicated, the dollars they would have given, to weaken any resistance to anti-whitism. There's so much of you out there, the silent majority. Thank you, brother. We also have here, get out your raucous emojis and 07 salutes for dissident agnostic. Financially gifting $25 US. Thank you so much, good brother. Hit the $20 mark. You get a salute and raucous emojis. 25 US. Save us from the wars to come dollars. And he writes here, do you think there is a religion that can be restricted to the racial interests of whites? No. No. There's a spirituality in the fiction that I wrote of Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny. And if you haven't read that, you can get that at Amazon. You get that at nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. But there are no, you can't just create a religion. You can create social groups, and you could call them religions, but they're not religions. Nobody there genuinely believes. I mean, if you were put, even in my opinion, the people who claim to be the most fervent believers in newly created religions, even if they claim that it's new but it's really old, and you put them on a lie detector test, a polygraph test, and do you really believe? And it's going to show no, they don't actually believe. That doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have value, but it doesn't have the same ability to inspire someone to give their life as a religion or a spirituality for a people. or nationalism for people, because the nationalism is an expression under another name of the biospiritual needs of a people. That's why you can't have you can have an environment like the United States was, where it's 90% white, 10% non-white, and you can have the white people there very gladly giving their lives in war for their country, even though their country contains some non-white people. It doesn't dilute it. When you get invited, you can look throughout all of history, it's my opinion, you can look throughout all of history where you get multiracial civilizations. They were one race. It was monoracial. They become an empire. They become multiracial. What always ends up happening? No longer is the military made up of the race, the men being compelled by their biospirit to go to conflict for glory of their people. No, what you end up with are mercenaries, multiracial mercenary armies, and you have massive desertions and the armies from the same country turning on each other every single time. So unfortunately, there just simply isn't. And you are not going to be able to, I'll just leave it there. Thank you for that financial gift, and that's a great question. And I think there are pagan groups who restrict participation to white people. And I gave some suggestions, a genius suggestion about how to handle the attempt to bring non-white people into those circles. I don't know if these different groups have implemented the genius strategy that I provided. That is a total legal defense, but nonetheless, technically speaking, they can insert as much as they want. As soon as they decide to target, they can lose everything under various vehicles, should they attempt to prevent others from participating. And by others, I mean members of other races. Rory here. Great to see you, brother. Financially gifting with $3 as well. Dear Jason, you need to listen to Jody Kay's recent stream with Bishop Williamson talking about Christian nationalism. That might just change your mind. No, it's not. I sent you a link. I'll watch it. But Rory, do you know, what was this guy's name? He was on back in like the 50s in the United States. And then there was another one in the 70s. Really hardcore, white positive priests and preachers that were speaking to white congregations that were all white congregations that were far more concerned with the well-being of our people than what any bishop or priest or preacher has to talk to today. That churches that were still populated by people like Audie Murphy and Sergeant York and Desmond Dawes. I mean, these people who, those churches still were producing these kinds of heroes when these people were there. Even on television, the one guy, I watched every video that of course I got them on VHS long after he was no longer on TV. His name's not coming back to me at the moment. And that guy was a real firebrand. But there were many. So the fact that there might be, I don't doubt that what you're saying here, this guy, Bishop Williamson, that he might be firebrand and utterly concerned with the well-being of white people, putting an end to the victimization of Western kind. He might be magnificent. Having said that, who's he going to speak to? Who's he going to speak to? Who's going to step forward into Christianity and with all of the money of Christianity coming forward and saying, this is what Christianity means? You can't bring back the white people that have already lost their faith. The white people who are already culturally Christian. They're not going to die for Christianity or live. Let me rephrase. They're not going to live for Christianity with the potential of dying when they don't believe that Jesus walked on water anymore. They don't believe that God rose from the dead. It just doesn't work that way. And we have to deal with the reality, the hand that we're dealt. So I'll watch this, and I hope he's an ass kicker. We'll have him on. If he is, more power to him. All right, let's see if there's anybody over here that financially gifted. Nationalism TV financially gifted some library tokens over on Odyssey, which is their cryptocurrency. You can financially gift me with like 5 other major cryptocurrencies by going to nonwhiteguilt.org. Click on the financial gift tab. You will find the wallet addresses there, as well as a snail mail address. The bottom line is money is power. And if I am powerful, I can make my vision, I can put my vision onto people's worlds if I'm powerful. If I'm a multimillionaire, I can put my vision. Do you like this? Would you like to see this vision placed on people? If I'm a multimillionaire, I can do that. If I continue to be the white guy who was not hired, even with the highest academic scores, the most awards everywhere he's ever worked, outperforming everyone, with novel ideas about how to succeed, and still don't get the promotions, don't get the hiring, don't get on and on and on, don't get the contracts because you're the white guy, you don't got a non-white partner and you're the junior partner, don't get all of that. If that remains my world, then I have very little power to be able to put my vision on this absolutely feckless, gelded white race that's out there. That really should resonate with the wealthy out there of our race. It should really resonate. Because you know how much you can do with the money you have. And how folks without it can't do squat. You want to know, and who are you going to invest in? Who are you going to invest in? Somebody that's dedicated his life since 12 years of age, started this at 11, dedicated his life at 12 years of age, and has been doing it his entire life, over 3 decades. Or somebody who showed up 5 years ago. Somebody who started doing it the last 8 years of their life. $25 library tokens over here, Nationalism TV. Thank you very much for those library tokens. Right. If you think Hawaii belongs to them, so this must have been from the other stream. It must have come late. I don't see I thought they used to have a date over here. Perhaps I'm wrong. This was from the other day when we were talking about the Hawaiian royalty. We white people created their royal family and built their castle and everything. Let me turn around this way. We'll refresh here, see what you said over here on YouTube. So if you have anything you say, if it's scrolled off, you want to tag me, say it again, then please do, because I'm going to be jumping in a minute. Because I'm pissed off. Because I am sick and tired of seeing people make decisions about what to do and what to support that are some of the most misguided things I've ever seen, because I've got other productive things to do for white well-being. Get out your raucous emojis. Get out your raucous emojis and your 07s and physically salute where you are for No White Guilt Clips, who just financially gifted 100 Save Western Kind dollars over here on Cash App. What a champion. What an absolute champion. $100 from this guy. What a man of the West. He says, I'm ready for some action. Hail to the king. and '07 for a salute. God bless you, brother. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm sick and tired of it as well. We're going to make some real changes. We're going to make some real changes. And you're either going to follow us into those real changes, or we will be the group of white people that survive, and you and your line will die off. And that's all there is to it. You won't survive the bottleneck. Hurt your feelings? Good. This is, whether its name is Jason Kuna or whatever else, this is what you're going to get whether you like it or not. It's not going to be some unhinged, radical. It's not going to be some violent person who's going to go out and punch somebody in their face when they're not ready for it. But it's going to be somebody who's able to do the worst that a demon could imagine having done to it. That's the kind of person it's going to be. But they're going to have integrity. They're going to be moral. And you have seen all of these things in me. Axis Mundi. Get out your raucous emojis. Because he's always here. $21.12. $21.12. 07s. Thank you for your excellent work. Great show today. God bless you. That's over on Cash App. We also have here Asking Alice, financially gifting $5. And with that $5 financial gift, thank you so much, gives me a thumbs up. Also over here on Cash App, we have Real Playlist, financially gifting $7. Thank you so very much for those $7. Right, with those $7, for the restoration of Western values, which are only possible from Western kind. Thank you so very much. That is Real Playlist. Shown up recently, at least to my awareness, and has been shining ever since. Like Axis Mundi as well. Great seeing you all. Let me see what you're saying here. And I'll take another look before we, on the financial gifts, before we hop out of here. And remember, you have to tag me as No White Guilt for me to read what you have to say. If you say Jason or NWG, whatever, that's not going to do it. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all, the champions who financially gift. Thank you all, the champions who distribute leaflets. Thank you all, champions of the West, who get into live streams, share the lexicon, the key concepts of the Go Free method, get into the threads under newspapers, under videos and the like, get into conversations, spreading the concepts of the Go Free method, champions of the West. You mean everything to me, and all of these white children today who are being white guilted to death into wishing that they were brown, wishing that they were black. A good way to find out if your non-white friend is actually a friend to you, non-white acquaintance is actually an acquaintance to you, go ahead and run it by them that there are white children being videotaped and mocked as well sometimes, their parents, friends, people on buses, on trains, and they're crying and they don't want to be white, they want to be non-white. What do you think of that? Ask your non-white friends that, because I guarantee you, the non-white people who object to anti-whitism, who are in this community, they say it's disgusting. The same way you would say it's disgusting if a non-white person came to you and said, after you watching a lifetime of video, commercials, and the rest, that black guilted or brown guilted or Jew guilted or whatever it might be, and this being inflicted on their children, and then one of their adults says, the children of our race hate being members of our race. They want to be some other race. You would think that was awful as a good friend. That's how you're going to know. That's one of the ways you're going to know whether you're dealing with somebody who's a genuine, real deal individual who is a friend of yours and supports, or somebody who's there because of all the perquisites in America and across the West today for non-white people. A lot of champions here today. Great to see you all. God bless every single one of you. Thank you all for giving 07s and raucous emojis when I ask you to. We have to support and celebrate each other. We have to give out awards to each other, just like the anti-whites do. I appreciate every comment of support in the live chat and in the thread. If you said something that scrolled off, maybe you left, you come back later, you want me to see it, make sure you put it in the thread and tag me. I typically read every initial message in the threads. When it breaks down into a sub-thread under an initial thread, I can miss those. So don't take that personally. All right, we have Franklin, great to see you tagging me with some little firework explosions. Axis Mundi, Eagles, firework explosions. I hope that this is probably for what I asked. Celebrate, folks. Appreciate it. So you'll see people who, and I want to mention this, just in case any of them turned up tonight. You will see people who will see anger, righteous anger, who will see passion, and they'll snicker. They'll ask stupid questions about the person, the man. They'll make pathetic accusations about the person, the man, the woman, and they do that because they are a genetic misfit. They have no glory in them. Men of the West, even males of the West, can feel glory. And you see it when the tears leap from their eyes in patriotic moments and proud moments and in the stories of valor and combat and in other scenarios, breaking through the impossible, the inventor who does the impossible. You'll see tears leap to their eyes because it is from the spirit of the West himself inside of us that calls on the males of our race, as calls on us to do that duty for our race. That is one of the principal reasons for us to be the males of our race. Now, you can go beyond by being a man of our race by actually acting on it. But there are males of our race and other races as well, who when they see glory, they don't understand it. And so they snicker and they make jokes and they're insolent and they're turds because they are genetic mutant misfits. They are scum. That's how you know them immediately. When they snicker and they giggle and they want to mock and ridicule valor and glory, that's all you need to know about them. Rune says here, my brother-in-law is going through divorce and tried to commit suicide this past weekend. My God. And if you guys could pray for him, or if you have any advice, I could tell him. Absolutely, Rune. You tell your brother, I am assuming that your brother does not know about us and the Go Free method and this entire community. His life has infinite value. He has been made to think he is valueless. He is being victimized right now by a system that's designed to hate all of us. And what you don't understand, you capitulate to. And white flight, suicide, is the ultimate of all white flight. Tell him that it is a cowardice that he can overcome, that we are his strength, that we will show him the doors to walk through, where he can throw his shoulders back and his chest high and understand his victimizers for who and what they are. And with that understanding will be courage. And then he too can have righteous anger, motivate him in a productive way to take back what is his in this world. And everyone here, please pray for Rune's brother. Send him positive energy if you don't believe in a creator, you believe in energy. And we hope it all turns out okay. Axis Mundi, are there additional platforms you could advertise on? We should cast a wide net. People across all walks of life are looking for the go-free method. They just don't have the words. Well, there are other platforms. You're absolutely right. There are other platforms. The problem, and we have advertised elsewhere. We've used Google. We've used Twitter. We've had Billboard. There are other means of advertising, but they are extremely expensive, and there is very little reach. And since it's black box, since you don't know, people can't actually look at the algorithms. You don't know what they're actually doing. You don't know if you're just throwing money away, or they're giving you like 1% of what you're actually paying for, which isn't already very much because you can't pay for much. Again, if I were a multimillionaire, if I were decamillionaire or centimillionaire, think of the power I would wield. Think of how much I could do. What sane, white, positive person would say, no, he shouldn't have that. He shouldn't have all the money he could have given to him. Who would profit shame is shameful. He or she who would profit shame is shameful. And they should be shunned out of the community. Having said that, there are some of these others. What about, is Truth Social taking advertisements? What is the other one? I don't know the names, all the names. There are several brand new platforms. I can't pull it up right now. There's obviously Parler, and then there is also Gitter, and I can't remember the other ones. I'm not going to look right now. But if someone out there, because I can't do everything, if I were a deca or centimillionaire, I would be paying people to do this, but I'm not. If there's someone out there or people out there that can go out, maybe a couple of you get together and you decide, okay, I will go find out about advertising on Parler. I will go find out about advertising on one of these other new ones. You gather all the information. Who does Jason have to contact? What does he have to know to be able to do it? What is the specific URL he has to go to set up the advertisement? You do that stuff for me. You get that to me, and I will run advertisements there. I have 2 advertisements going on right now on Gab. One is for the What is Anti-White, Naturific, and Lovely Porridge's competition. And the other is for Mondays are for Dragons, for Null and Yiz. Both their shows are on Mondays because we have to be creating more and more of a community where people are circling from, one of us to the other, and that's where they stay. So that's why I'm doing this. Think about how many commercials I could run on Gab if I were a deca or centimillionaire. You get $100 like donations we did tonight, and there are people in the white sympathetic sphere who immediately will support Shane. So we need to make sure that they are shunned out of the community and never allowed to come back.
I guess somebody was asking about me not being on PWR last week. And there are at least a few PWR members, I mean, not PWR, NJP members who don't want to appear when I'm present. And who continue? I mean, this has been widely known now for a long time. Why are there still people out there? I mean, should I continue to wonder when people are saying that Jason just doesn't come on when it's Jason's fault? Should I continue to wonder if these people are actually still ignorant, or are they just more liars? I mean, how could you still really be ignorant about that? It's said like every time I'm not there, and it's one of these NJP members. J.W. Oldner says, what difference does it make what boomers say if you get the money? What difference does it make if I get the money? They're the ones who are writing the biggest checks because they've worked their lives, and either they're going to have a modest savings to a fabulous savings in retirement. And I know because I see them all over on their expensive ass boomer cycles and their boats, and every vacation spot you ever go to, full of these people, these boomers, these radical individualists, and many of them are wonderful folks. Probably not the ones at the vacation with the $50,000 motorcycle. Probably not them, and the boomer trike and all that sort of garbage. Probably not them. Those folks, they were the children of a generation that believed that America was still theirs and that they were indebted to it. And they were easily tricked by the people who had conquered America. And they went off to give everything. And then the children they raised have been the most selfish motherfuckers ever to walk the earth. I mean, that's a reality that you cannot claim is otherwise. Now, many of these folks, what they do now in their dotage is find the most functionary-looking government bureaucrat person, and they write a big check. They will wait for some rhino Republican to show up who looks like he's the absolute, or she's or it's a female. They let him say a little bit more. The male he has to not have a penis or balls for a boomer to write a $50,000 check, for a boomer to write a $20,000 check to them. Oh, he's a white guy without any testicles or penis. Big check, 0 zeros. White guy like me, nothing. Nothing. I'm going to be what you get. He might not be me specifically, but this is what you're going to get. And they're not going to be easygoing on all the selfish, radical individualists out there who thought, I'm just going to use my money to white flight to a whiter area of town, and then I'll just throw some money at another one of these dickless sewing circle male Republicans and shun people like this Jason Kuna character. That's the issue. The younger generations, if you are one of these boomers or you're close to them, maybe you don't realize everybody else is fucking poorer than you. Maybe you haven't caught on. Maybe if you're like one of these other boomers out there, you don't realize that when you were young, you could get a job as a plumber. You could get into a trade. You could get into an apprenticeship that was like 2 weeks long and have enough income to buy a single family house and buy a car for yourself and your wife. Pay for your wife to be at home. Pay for your children to go to school. Go on a vacation or two every year. Have a nice, handsome retirement left over, unless you were just blowing it on boomer cycles your whole life. You think everybody's living like that. Afraid not. If that's not you, then those words are not for you. You're going to know whether those words are for you or not. And so
either you can look at it as giving umbrage because you know that that is you, or that Jason has given you no umbrage because those words don't apply to you in the life you've lived. But a lot of these folks, they look out and they think, well, everybody's just dealing like us. All they had to do was like fill out one job application, work at the same place or two places, maybe even three places over the course of their life. These people now work like 5 different places before they're done at 25. And both the guy and the girl have to work, or they're not even able to pair up, or it's a couple of guys or a couple of girls, and they have to work together. They live in a little shitty house, and they can't accumulate any money and save it because they're renting their shitty little house from boomers. So maybe you need to give your big dollar checks to people who can make a difference in the world, rather than more Christian nationalists. I swear, I guess radical individualism induces supreme stupidity. Ambriel is here. Great to see you. King Kuna is on fire tonight with his powerful speech. This is some of the magnificent content Jason has created. I applaud you. God bless you. Thank you, Ambriel. Thank you for being here. Refresh over here. I went to the gym. I went to 2 gyms today. Because somebody who's going to be a real leader cannot be a muscleless loser. I have always been in shape. I have always been fit. Because you have to be able to physically defend yourself. You have to have a strength of body to maintain a strength of mind. Art Acrobats, financially gifting $3.14. A real champion for white well-being. The going free method is the most effective method. There's another testimonial specifically naming the go free method. You better get on the go free method. It beats anti-whitism every time. Every single time. You got no problem picking up wokeism. You got no problem picking up the woke brigade. Then you can pick up concepts that work for us. God bless you, brother. $3.14. The great Elaine is here. Hail, Jason. Sorry I missed this. Hail's family. You mean everything to me. God bless you. In fact, we have Art Acrobat saying Cash App to make sure I got that. I did indeed. Lockie here from Down Under. We gave you a round of raucous emojis earlier in the stream, brother, for your work here and elsewhere, and the knowledge you are going to continue. JGP, Jason Goes Political. Thank you. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Everybody who gave me a round of raucous emojis and salutes. I really appreciate it. Axis Mundi. Yeah, raucous emojis were for you for this awesome episode. We're loving this, brother. God bless you. Thank you for that. Rory Herbert, King Kong Kuna. It brings a whole new meaning to the letters. Oh my gosh. That's funny, man. Axis Mundi, I understand it makes sense. Excellent points, brother, by Axis Mundi. This is helpful. Now I know things I can look into about advertising on alt tech. Thank you very much for your help, for putting that forward, that idea forward, submitting that to all of us, and then saying that you're going to participate. That is a doer, and that's what we need. We need doers. Too long in the white sympathetic sphere, I have people reach out and say, hey, here's an idea that I thought of. Some of those ideas are great. Some of those ideas are not so great, but they just want to like drop it on your lap and then go back to watching football and recreating in other ways. And I'm not saying you can never have a day off, but you can't just keep coming to the guy and just saying, here's a new idea and nothing else. Victorian Time Traveler. I know it's expensive
but at least a billboard would be advertising to real people. Yeah, we had a billboard, and it worked magnificently. Tricked the anti-whites. It demonstrated perfectly when I got on the phone. You're wondering if the go free method works. When I got on the phone with the reporter who wanted to talk to me about the billboard and what I thought, she had to go back and forth, come back to me again and again, trying to find a way to demonize me and the things I was saying and doing. She ended up having to go to multiple anti-white groups to try to find any of them that could outmaneuver me on the chessboard of the mind. They all failed. Every single one of them failed massively. Art acrobats, everybody can advertise your videos and pages for free. Absolutely, art acrobats. Absolutely. Very well stated. And we need to do this. We need to do this. You know why HB 2014 is gone? HB 2014 made something like around 1,000 clips of me over the years. And, clips that he thought that in his mind were the best clips. He made like something around 1,000 clips, and he put them out on Twitter. I think only Twitter. He could have magnified his efforts by putting them elsewhere as well. But around 1,000 clips, that's kind of a Herculean thing to do, right? With your time. I've tried to make clips for me. You can ask No White Guilt clips how hard it's very difficult. And who's the other? I just forgot. Who's the other guy? Alt clips or something like that. But what happened? People were not sharing the clips he made. If you are in a place where your friends, family, other people, they know your Twitter, they know your Gab or Facebook, you can't share clips to them about the things that I'm saying. First of all, that's a really bad. You're surrounded by anti-whites, and you can't even share anything white positive. But if that's the case, it's no excuse for being a loser and doing nothing. You can make other accounts. How many people out there are retired or living on welfare nets who are in this community who could spend the day making accounts and then building up reputations in other communities and then sharing these clips everywhere? Very well stated, and thank you for that. Share the clips. Alt Voices Portal, I think he's called. Jilly says, Testiclops Hawley. Yeah, Josh Hawley with his one testicle. That's right. That's what they are. They are, he's got one ball, and he's probably lost that one. He likes to come out and make big statements and then do nothing. Apparently, for null is troll slang. So the mods here are not called mods. They are called troll slayers. And the interesting thing about troll slayers is that they have a code of conduct. People come here and they're from the anti-white narrative. They don't know what to say, how to say it, what's productive, what's self-destructive, right? The troll slayers will say, we actually don't refer to it this way, we say it this way. Please don't talk of violence because that's not what and who we are. It's not going to remedy anything. It's just braggadocious that is going to bring harm to the community. And it supports the anti-white narrative that we're just a bunch of crazed militaristic people that are going to commit mass shootings and these sorts of things. And they will give folks opportunities. You say something that's objectionable and they've warned you, well, they're going to delete that. And they'll say, please don't say anything like that again while you're here with us. Again, you do it again, they'll delete it again. A third time, and they whip out the biggest sword, metaphorical sword you have ever seen. And they mercilessly do away with you. And I have no qualm about that. No qualm. That's why these people are the troll slayers. That's exactly what we need. We don't need people coming in with their dumbass ideas about how to remedy what's going on
in America and elsewhere around the world. And why are they dumbass ideas? Because they are. I mean, they are. You want to say, well, Jason's arrogant. He thinks everybody else's ideas are dumb. They are. I have been 3 decades listening to dumbass ideas of people coming up to me and saying, I got an idea that'll remedy it all. And everyone has been asinine. Now, there have been brilliant people smarter than me, people wiser than me, that have come and they've said, here's a particular point. Here's another point. And when I have been smart enough or wise enough to understand what they were saying, I submitted myself to the genius or wisdom of those ideas. If you want to say that makes me smart, then yeah, it makes me smart. But folks that come up and they say, I've been thinking about this, for the past year, I've been thinking about this for the past 6 months, and they say something. And let me just tell you, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And one of mine is that I can compute instantaneously. So when a theory is given to me, a formula is given to me, I can instantly see if it works or if it doesn't. And these folks, they show up. I've got so many half-baked folks. I've had people who could not, they were given high school diplomas only because we live in the West today. In the past, they would not have been allowed to get out of 3rd grade because the teachers cared about them too much. And they have these grand ideas, and they want to show up in places where you have a go-free method that has demonstrated proof of concept for 2 decades. And they want to say, forget about that. I've got a plan. Let me check Odyssey. So apparently, the great Fournal, a man of immense talent, a brilliant man, and a tours de force like you wouldn't believe. He's also a Herculean troll slayer. And so when he's present, there is metaphorical blood dripping from his mighty sword. Studio over here on Odyssey is asking me to support and it gives a name for an ideology which people in the white sympathetic sphere, there isn't a single definition of the name he has given. So, my friend, that thing that you named is not one thing. And that's where a lot of confusion comes from. It's many things. I've been here too long. Nobody can push things past me easily. It's many things in the white sympathetic sphere. And more importantly, to our millions of brothers and sisters out there, it's something extremely ugly. That if you would have to overcome everything that they believe about that, which you don't have time to do, to explain to them how that's not really what you are, not really what you want to be. No, we have something, studio, that works. We have something that actually works. It's called the Go Free Method. You please investigate the Go Free Method. Be here with us on Sundays. Be with me on these you'll hear me use the different concepts that we employ, the different dialectics of thought, and stay for a couple months, check it out, and see if you like it. You can get the Go Free book on Kindle, which can be read on any electronic device, if you can download the Kindle app, for next to nothing. You can get that, and you can investigate for a couple of months, see if you like what you read. If it doesn't make sense to you, take a look at all the testimonials that people share about how it's changed their lives for the better. And remember, for the better is not to be the most offensive to the normal person. For the better is to not sound the most evil to the normal person. Anti-whites hating that name and the groups of people who will use that name does not make that the successful way to serve white well-being. Does that make sense? For everybody, not just you. Does that make sense? Them hating it doesn't mean that it's the way to go. The way to go is the method that brings the mother that hated you for your views over to holding your views. The father who kicked you out because of it over to holding your views. That enables you to find a girlfriend that you will get engaged to and have a family, productive family with. That is success, not being hated by the average person. Too many folks, Lovely Porge, brilliantly, he's another one of our geniuses on the other side of the globe. Southern Hemisphere, brilliant man. Rightly pointed out that for almost everybody, it seems, in the white sympathetic sphere, anti-whites hating you and your belief, and the average person being disgusted by you and your belief, is the metric of success for far too many people in the white sympathetic sphere. And that simply has to go as well if we are going to survive. We're not going to survive continuing to think that the most god-awful thing that you could say in a group of white people is the right path for us. All right, one more quick check, and we're going to get out of here. Had a great time with everybody. A big thank you to the troll slayers who have the biggest hanging swords in the universe. Elaine Sabatino says, forgot to tag you in my last comment, Jason. Tucker used anti-white when referring to the Biden regime. Nice work spreading the lexicon. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's again that he has used it again. And I'm going to tell you right now, are we, as we get ready to sign out right now, let me just check this. I'm going to speak to that right now because I'm so sick and tired of folks saying, oh, well, your method does nothing. It's just concepts. By the way, the Frankfurt School is how the anti-whites defeated us. They won't call them anti-whites. But the Frankfurt School, they came up with concepts, and that's how they defeated. But concepts don't do anything. All right. Concepts are winning. We have the lexicon dialectics that are winning, that win every contest with anti-whitism. What else are we doing? We're getting into the live chats. We're getting into the threads. And individuals are doing this as part of their lives. Organized efforts are doing this. Groups of our people. Become a part. Look down into the description below. Become a part of one of the main organized efforts to promulgate the Go Free method, the concepts that are changing society for us. As individuals, as groups, getting out under newspapers, in forms of other white sympathetic endeavors, under Republican videos, under conservative videos, and we're even getting to the staffs of elected people and major content creators on television.